Pathmark is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmark qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add Pathmark to your website in seconds. Let the AI do all the work and get access to 50% more qualified leads while you keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us on pathmark.com. Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Joe Koufman from Setup, founder and CEO there. How you doing today, Joe?
Doing great, Ernesto. So happy to be with you today.
It's awesome to have you on. And while I'm sure our listeners are tuning in, Joe, wondering what Setup is all about. So let's kick it off with that. In your own words, can you tell us a little bit more?
Yes. So Setup is a marketing matchmaker. And what that usually means is that we connect brands looking for marketing support with marketing agencies that can support them.
Okay, perfect. So that way our listeners could get a good understanding of Setup. Joe, what would you say is that key problems that you guys like to solve for clients?
Yeah, typically a client has a gap in either marketing capacity or marketing capability. Capacity being they don't have enough arms and legs to do the work that they're trying to accomplish from a marketing standpoint, or capability. They may be good at 10 things within their team, but there may be other things where they're not so good. And either their team is missing those capabilities or capacity, or their current agencies are. And so our job is to really listen to the client and understand what they're trying to accomplish, help them write a really detailed brief. And then we typically introduce them to 3 or 4 highly qualified agencies, because when a client selects an agency partner, part of the reason they choose that agency is their capability to do the work, but a large part is chemistry. And we're not sure up front which agency is going to have the right chemistry and mesh well with their team. So by introducing 3 or 4 capable agencies, we allow the client to choose whichever agency has, is the best fit for them and their team.
Really important. Okay, awesome to hear that. And so, is there a certain vertical segment? Is there an ideal ICP then that you guys like to go for to set up with these agencies?
Yeah, most of the clients we work with are on the medium to larger side of things, larger size of things, because we've found that just typically the smallest companies don't really have budget to work with a marketing agency, but we definitely work across all different verticals. We've worked in almost every vertical you can think of, from automobile manufacturers to large restaurant companies to insurance to banking and finance to CPG. So it's not really vertical specific, and we work with clients all around the US and Canada, even occasionally an international client as well.
Definitely. All right. That's a huge range, right? That's really, really nice to see all over the place. So awesome to see that from you, Joe. And so that way, say, I'm in one of these industries. How would I usually find out about Setup? Is there a top client acquisition channel for you guys?
Yeah, we have 16 different, we call them levers, that we pull to find opportunity from clients, and they range. And I'll give you an example of a couple of them. One is that we do a CMO Spotlight series that we've been doing for 4 years. We started it during the pandemic when we couldn't meet directly with marketing leaders in person, but it's a half-hour interview series with CMOs and the top marketing leaders for major companies. And we've done interviews with, you name the companies, Papa John's and United Healthcare and Heineken and IBM and some of the largest companies in the world. But what we found is that half-hour interview really highlights the person's career path and their marketing philosophy and that kind of thing. But it also gives us a chance to get to know them as a marketer and understand a little bit more about those gaps that I discussed and those needs. So that's been a fun series. We've published about 100 of them already over the last 4 years. And we've also found that often the marketing leader shares that piece of content on their social, And then we look at to see who else is engaging with that content on social. And then often that brings us new people to then interview and add to the mix. Another couple of things that we've done, we've been focused on creating content that will resonate with these, marketing leaders. So for example, we've created guides that are designed to help them, especially if you, for example, land a new role, you get a promotion or you jump to a new company. We've built some guides that say, okay, now you're a brand new VP of marketing or CMO. What are the things that you're going to need to do to really be successful in your job? And so we've created pieces of content that we share with marketers that have landed new roles to help them, including guide to finding a marketing agency and scorecards they can use to evaluate their agencies, and RFP guides and toolkits and budgeting guides and things. So we've created a lot of content. And then we reach out as soon as somebody gets a new job to say, look, we can help you. And then one other thing I'll highlight is that we actually travel to industry trade shows like the National Restaurant Association show in Chicago, or the International Builders Show and Kitchen and Bath Show, or, Modex or other shows like this that are very industry specific, because we've found that when we go to these shows, often the marketing leader that runs marketing is there to make sure that the booth is set up okay and make sure that the salespeople are selling to the customers at the show. But then they often have downtime where they're willing to have a conversation about their ecosystem of internal resources and marketing agencies and partners. And that's where we can have a real dialogue with them about how we can help them fill those gaps in that ecosystem.
That's okay. Important. And so that way our listeners who are tuned in with us today, Joe, they could go visit you at setup.us. What role does a website then play for client acquisition, Joe?
Yeah, website's huge for us. So we have just celebrated our 10th anniversary, and we've been writing blog posts continuously for over 10 years now, once a week at least, for over 10 years. And so we have been fortunate that Google has deemed us worthy, and Bing have deemed us worthy for some specific keywords and phrases that have been important to us. So for example, if you Google marketing matchmakers, we typically come up number one or close to number one, across the board. If you Google marketing career path or roles within a marketing agency and things like that, those all are, we've organically come to the top of search results. And that's definitely driven some interest in our company and some traffic. One other thing I'll say is that one other lever that we pull and piece of content that we create is every year we do a marketing relationship survey where we usually hear from over 300 marketers to tell us about that agency client relationship. All the questions are around that agency client relationship. And we've been really fortunate that some major publications have published the results from that survey, including Ad Age and Fast Company. And so the combination of creating amazing content for the website and then also having some referrals from some really high quality traffic referral sources like Fast Company and Ad Age have allowed us to get some really good quality traffic to our site that has resulted in opportunity to connect brands and agencies together.
Definitely important. All right. Awesome to hear that. So then on that note, Joe, is there any tools or tips or methods that you would recommend to our listeners as far as some website lead generation?
I'll just say that for us, we're constantly thinking about new topics to write about and conversations to have. And I think that there's something to the good old fashioned thinking about what people are inquiring about on the search engines and creating content that answers those questions. I think that often people try to game the system and trick the system by, focusing on backlinks or other things like that. But I do think there's something to just coming up with topics that are interesting and important to your audience and then writing about them.
All right, great. Some methods there and tips for our listeners, Joe. And well, let's switch gears a little bit, Joe, and let's talk about you as a leader. You being the founder and CEO there for Setup, what are some key tasks you like to focus on your day-to-day work?
Yeah, I spend a lot of my day connecting with marketing leaders and consulting with marketing leaders and helping them solve problems and challenges and talking through we usually begin an engagement with the client that's having a marketing challenge by helping them write a brief. So we send them a questionnaire and we fill out as much as we can on our own within that questionnaire, background about the company, background about the team, any existing agency relationships, the actual need that led them to seek agency support, timeline of implementing new marketing, work, budget, all of those things. So I spend a lot of my day talking to marketers about those challenges they're trying to solve, helping them get to a really crisp brief. That questionnaire gets converted from a questionnaire into an external facing brief that the client then would bless and validate. And then we use that brief to evaluate any agencies that are in our collective to see if they're a good fit to solve that problem. So I spend a lot of time matchmaking, just not that dissimilar to romantic matchmaking, but business matchmaking.
Definitely. All right. Awesome to hear that. And so in your between time, Joe, how do you stay up to date with all the marketing trends, news out there? Is there a preferred channel that you like to go with?
Well, I will say that selfishly, we publish a thing called the Pulse Report on a weekly basis, usually through our LinkedIn, setups LinkedIn. And my whole team curates articles and trends and things that we're seeing and hearing in the marketplace for our Pulse Report. And then we report on them weekly. But I'm pretty active in LinkedIn. I particularly love to curate my LinkedIn feed because I've found that my network is talking about the things that are most important to me. Social media can be overwhelming, but to me, the LinkedIn feed of content and articles that I've curated is better than the feeds that I get from, other resources, like even my Google feed or X, formerly Twitter, etc.
Yeah, okay. Awesome to hear that. And let's jump into our next section then here, Joe, which is our rapid fire question rounds. Are you ready for them?
I'm ready.
All right, perfect. So then first off, Joe, what is the last book that you read?
The last book that I read was The Great Team Turnaround by Jeff Hillemeyer. And it's a fantastic book that the first half of the book is about establishing your purpose, your vision, and your tenets and your values as a company. And the second half of the book is about establishing the great game of business, which is another book, A Great Game of Business by Jack Stack. But in The Great Team Turnaround, he explains how to leverage the great game of business to align everybody in your company towards a very specific set of goals and make sure that everybody in the team knows the score and how to help win the game.
Okay, awesome. And talking about books, I mean, is there anything at the moment that you're working on for setup and yourself?
Why, yes, Ernesto. I appreciate you asking me that question. I'm actually writing a book right now, and it's called The Connector's Compass: Mastering Business Matchmaking. So this is not a book about networking per se. This is a book about how we can leverage the power of human connections and make better human connections with others to benefit our network and benefit ourselves in the long run. So I'm working on that book. It should be coming out in the fall of 2024. And I'm excited about, taking all of the things that I've learned over a 25-year plus career, matching people together and connecting people together for business and helping others learn how to be better business matchmakers for their benefit.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear from you that, Joe. So next up then is, if there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
I would like to have a CRM system that prompted me to let me know when it was appropriate for me to reach out and reconnect with people that I have built relationships with versus me having to go in and set reminders and figure out when to connect with people. I would like some, maybe it's more like a parrot in my ear telling me it's time and prompting me. By the way, before I forget, connectorscompassbook.com is a place that somebody can go to learn more about the book, and they can also sign up for a newsletter there where they'll get updates as I, progress in that writing process. So connectorscompassbook.com is the URL.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that with us and for our listeners so they can check it out as soon as it gets published as well. And well, lastly, Joe, you have a lot of experience already in the marketing world. But what is that one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today?
Yeah, I wish that I had studied and gotten better writing early in my career. And I know that with AI tools and ChatGPT, people think that writing is less important, but I would argue that it's even more important than it ever has been. Persuasive writing. I think all of us are in sales, whether we realize it or not. My kids are trying to convince me to get ice cream after dinner. All of us are in sales in some way, shape, or form. And I think persuasive writing, being able to write well and make a case and an argument for something, is a really powerful tool that any marketer would have. The other thing I would say is the two attributes that any marketer needs to be successful are curiosity, understanding, just being curious about the world and trends in the world, and empathy. How do we put ourselves into the shoes of the person that we're marketing to and then deliver something of value to them? So empathy and curiosity, and then I wish I were better at, persuasively writing.
Yeah, okay, awesome to hear that. I'm sure the book's going to be great. So it's going to be persuasive.
I hope.
Oh, definitely. And well, Joe, we are coming to the end of our show today, but before we do end, I do want to give you the last word. If someone forgets everything about the interview today, what is that one thing they should remember about setup?
Yeah, I would say if you know a marketer that needs support, they don't have the tools and resources, or they don't have the team or the agencies that can support them, they should go to setup.us and connect with us so that we can help them find the right marketing agency support. Or if they're an agency that is really wants to focus on growth and needs to figure out a better way to grow, then they can also contact us.
Definitely awesome. Check them out. They're at setup.us. Joe, thank you so much for being on with us. To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm looking forward to our next episode at Path Monk Presents. Thanks a lot, Joe.
Thanks so much, Ernesto. I really appreciate this time together.
Likewise. Thank you.